Dad Perfect Revents. I found my daughter. Living in her car with my granddaughters. Then I discovered her husband's betrayal. I pulled into the Dallas Presbyterian Hospital parking lot at 2 a.m. looking for my daughter Lisa. She wasn't answering her phone, and her supervisor said she'd left work hours ago. That's when I saw it, a silver Honda Civic with condensation on the windows. And inside, movement. My heart stopped. It was Lisa. My 34-year-old daughter, a registered nurse, was sleeping in the back seat with my 6-year-old twin granddaughters, Emma and Sophie, curled up beside her under a hospital blanket. I'm Carl Martinez, 58 years old, been retired from construction supervision for 3 years since my wife Rosa died. I never thought I'd see my family living like this. I knocked on the window. Lisa's eyes shot open. For a moment, she just stared at me through the glass, and I saw something I'd never seen in my daughter's face before. Shame. She cracked the window. Dad, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? Lisa, what the hell is going on? Where's the house? Where's Trevor? Why are you sleeping in a car with my granddaughters? She looked away. It's complicated. Complicated? You're a nurse living in a parking lot with 6-year-old children. Nothing's that complicated. The girls started to wake up. Emma rubbed her eyes and saw me through the window. Grandpa? That little voice broke something in my chest. Hey, sweetheart, why don't you and Sophie come with Grandpa to get some breakfast? Your mom and I need to talk. An hour later, the girls were eating pancakes in the hospital cafeteria, while Lisa and I sat at a corner table. She looked exhausted, thin, defeated. Tell me everything, I said. She took a shaky breath. Trevor left me 4 months ago. But it's not just that he left, Dad. He took everything. The house, the bank accounts, your money, all of it. What do you mean my money, the inheritance from Rosa? He had me sign papers, said it was to protect the inheritance from taxes, to put everything in a trust account he managed. I trusted him, Dad. He was my husband. I signed. How much? $190,000. The house inheritance, your construction business sale money, everything Mom left us. I felt rage building in my chest. The $90,000 from Rosa's life insurance, plus the $100,000 I'd saved from selling my concrete company. Our entire family's financial security. Where is he? Gone? Disappeared? Changed his phone number? Closed his office? His investment company website is gone. Like he never existed. What about the girls? School? I lost custody temporarily. The court said I needed stable housing first. They're staying with me during supervised visits, but officially they're supposed to be with Trevor's parents, except his parents haven't seen them either. They're as confused as we are. So he abandoned his own children too? Lisa nodded, tears starting. Emma keeps asking when Daddy's coming home. I don't know what to tell them. That night, I made phone calls. First to my lawyer, Martin Brooks, who I'd used for business deals. Then to a private investigator, Rachel Hayes, who came recommended by a buddy from my construction crew. Carl, Martin said when I explained the situation, this isn't just abandonment. This sounds like systematic financial fraud. If Trevor was managing investment accounts without proper licensing, if he forged documents, we're talking federal crimes. How long would something like this take to resolve? Federal financial crimes? We're looking at 10 months minimum, investigation, building a case, trial. But, Carl, if what you're telling me is true, this guy's a professional. He's probably done this before. Rachel Hayes met me the next morning. She was in her 40s, former Dallas PD detective, now running her own investigation firm. Tell me about Trevor Cooper, she said. Married my daughter 8 years ago. Seemed like a good guy. Said he was an investment advisor, had his own firm. Helped me move money around after Rosa died. Said he could get better returns than CDS. Did you ever verify his credentials? He showed me certificates, business cards, had an office downtown. Why would I doubt my son-in-law? I taught this kid how to use power tools, helped him fix their car. He called me Dad. Rachel pulled out her laptop. Let me run a background check real quick. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. After 10 minutes, she looked up. Carl, Trevor Cooper isn't licensed as an investment advisor in Texas. Never has been. My blood went cold. What? His office downtown? Rented month to month under a shell company? The investment firm he claimed to own doesn't exist in any business registry. This guy's been running a con for years, so everything he told us was a lie? Everything. the licenses, the company, probably even some of his background. Professional con artists create entire fake identities. Over the next 6 weeks, Rachel dug deeper. What she found made my stomach turn. Trevor had been running investment scams on at least 12 families across 3 states. He'd marry into a family or befriend someone, gain their trust, then convince them to let him manage their money. Once he had access, he'd drain the accounts and disappear. The forensic accountant Rachel hired traced our money to a series of shell companies, then to gambling transactions in Las Vegas. Trevor had blown most of our $190,000 at high-stakes poker tables over the past 6 months. But here's the thing, Rachel said, showing me bank records. He's still gambling, still using credit cards tied to the fake business accounts. He thinks he's untouchable because he's in Nevada now. She spread photos across my kitchen table. Trevor at Caesar's Palace, Trevor at the Bellagio, Trevor buying rounds of drinks for strangers, all while my daughter and granddaughters were sleeping in a car. Look at this, Rachel pointed to a credit card statement. $3,000 on bottle service last weekend. $8,000 on a suite at the MGM Grand. He's living like a king off your family's money. How many other families has he done this to? At least 12 that I can confirm, maybe more. His pattern is always the same. Find recently widowed people or divorced parents with inheritance money, become their friend, their family, then convince them he can invest their money better than banks. She showed me a file folder thick with documents. The Hendersons in Austin, he took $180,000 from them. The Williams family in Houston, $220,000. Every time, same story. Fake investment firm, fake credentials, fake promises. Where are these families now? Destroyed. Most of them lost their homes, had to move in with relatives. The Hendersons are living in their son's garage. Mrs. Williams is working 2 jobs at 67 years old just to pay rent. That's when I made my decision. This wasn't just about getting our money back. This was about stopping Trevor before he destroyed more families. What do we need to prove? He's a criminal? Evidence of fraud. Recorded conversations where he admits to lying about his credentials or the investments. Financial records showing he used investor money for personal expenses instead of legitimate investments. Can we get him to admit it? Rachel smiled. That's where things get interesting. Martin's been talking to the FBI Financial Crimes Unit. They're already investigating Trevor for wire fraud after 3 other families filed complaints. They're willing to work with us. The plan was simple but risky. I would pose as a potential investor. My construction business had been successful, so the cover story was believable. Rachel created a fake identity for me. Carl Ramirez recently sold a concrete company looking to invest $250,000 in high-return opportunities. We posted on investment forums Trevor was known to monitor. Within 10 days, he contacted us through an encrypted email. Mr. Ramirez, I understand you are looking for exclusive investment opportunities. I represent a private equity firm with access to pre-IPO technology stocks. Minimum investment $150,000, but returns are typically 300 to 400% within 18 months. The same line he'd used on me 2 years ago, word for word. We arranged to meet at a Dallas hotel. Rachel had FBI agents positioned throughout the lobby. I wore a wire that looked like a hearing aid. Agent Patricia Norton briefed me beforehand. We need him to admit the investment firm is fake, or that he doesn't have the credentials he claims, or that he's using investor money for gambling. Any of those admissions will give us enough for federal charges. The day of the meeting, my hands were shaking. I hadn't seen Trevor since he disappeared with our money. Part of me wanted to just grab him and demand answers. But I had to stay calm, stick to the plan. Trevor looked different, thinner, nervous. Designer clothes that didn't quite fit right. His hair was longer, and he had a tan that came from too much time in Vegas casinos. He still had that same smooth smile, though. Carl Ramirez, right? Good to meet you. I've reviewed your portfolio information. You're exactly the kind of investor we work with. Tell me about these returns, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. 400% sounds too good to be true. Not if you know the right people. I have connections in Silicon Valley, pre-market access to companies before they go public. The key is moving fast when opportunities arise. And you manage the accounts personally? Absolutely. Full discretion, maximum returns. I handle everything through my firm, Cooper Financial Strategies. We're registered in Nevada, which gives us more flexibility than Texas firms. That was lie number one. Rachel had already confirmed Cooper Financial Strategies didn't exist in any state registry. What kind of background do you have in finance? Series 7 license, Series 66, CFA designation. I've been in wealth management for 12 years, started right after college. Lie. Number 2. The FBI had confirmed Trevor had no financial licenses whatsoever. I just need you to sign some paperwork to get started, he said, pulling out the same forms he'd used on Lisa. I recognize the language about tax optimization and trust account management. This is a lot of money, I said. How do I know my investment is safe? Mr. Ramirez, I've never had a client lose money. In fact, my biggest success story is my father-in-law. I helped him invest his construction company proceeds and his late wife's insurance money, turned $190,000 into over $400,000 in just 18 months. My blood went cold. He was bragging about stealing from my family, using us as a success story to con his next victim. That's impressive, I managed to say. Your father-in-law must be very happy. Oh, he's thrilled. Carl Martinez, great guy, widower, worked construction his whole life. Smart enough to trust professional advice instead of just putting money in savings accounts. He was talking about me like I was his greatest achievement, like destroying my family was something to be proud of. Trevor, I said quietly, do you remember me? His smile faltered. Should I? You married my daughter 8 years ago. Lisa Martinez. Ring a bell? The color drained from his face. His hand moved toward his phone, but FBI agents were already moving. Trevor Cooper, you're under arrest for wire fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering. The handcuffs clicked on his wrists as Agent Norton read him his rights. Other hotel guests stared as they led him away. I sat there for a moment, watching the man who destroyed my family get what he deserved. But this was just the beginning. The trial took 10 months. Rachel's investigation had uncovered 15 families Trevor had defrauded across 4 states, totaling over $2.8 million. The FBI traced money flows through 17 different shell companies. They found gambling debts, luxury car purchases, payments to escort services, even a condo in Vegas he'd bought with stolen money. The prosecution team was led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Margaret Wilson. She was tough, methodical, and had a personal hatred for financial predators like Trevor. Mr. Martinez, she told me during trial preparation, your case is crucial because you have the most complete paper trail. Trevor got sloppy with your family's money. He thought he'd never get caught. Lisa testified about how Trevor had isolated her from family, convinced her I was financially irresponsible, made her feel guilty for questioning his investment advice. The psychological manipulation had been as devastating as the financial theft. He told me my father was old-fashioned about money, Lisa said from the witness stand. That leaving money in savings accounts was foolish. He made me feel stupid for not understanding investments. Did he ever explain where your money was actually being invested? Attorney Wilson asked. No, he said the details were too complicated for someone without financial training. He'd show me fake statements with rising account values, but I never saw any actual investment documents. The prosecution presented evidence that Trevor had specifically targeted families with recent inheritance money or business sales. He'd research obituaries, divorce records, business sale announcements. Then he'd engineer ways to meet these families, often through dating apps or professional networking events. Lisa's was just one of many stories. Single mothers, widowed retirees, small business owners. All of them trusted this clean-cut guy who spoke their language about financial security and building wealth for their children. Mrs. Henderson from Austin testified through tears. He came to my husband's funeral, brought flowers, said he wanted to help me manage the insurance money so my children would have something for college. Instead, he stole everything. Trevor's defense lawyer, Garrett Mills, tried every angle. First, he claimed gambling addiction, argued for reduced sentencing due to mental health issues. When that didn't work, he tried to blame Trevor's accomplices, claiming his client was just a small player in a larger fraud scheme. The judge wasn't having any of it. Mr. Cooper, Judge Patricia Norton said, during sentencing, you systematically targeted vulnerable families during their most difficult times. You exploited trust, destroyed relationships, and left children homeless. This wasn't addiction. This was predatory criminal behavior. She looked directly at Trevor. You didn't just steal money. You stole security, hope, and faith in human decency. Some of your victims will never financially recover. Others will never trust again. Trevor's face was stone. No apology, no remorse. Even caught and convicted, he showed nothing. I sentence you to 9 years federal prison, full restitution to all victims, and lifetime ban from any financial services activities. We got our $190,000 back through asset seizure. Trevor's Vegas condo, his, Porsche, even gambling winnings, frozen in casino accounts. The FBI's financial recovery unit was thorough. We also received $80,000 in damages from the class action settlement with Trevor's fake business partners. But more than the money, we got justice. Lisa's nursing license was cleared of the false accusations Trevor had somehow planted in her personnel file. The custody case was resolved in her favor once Trevor's criminal conviction proved his character. The really satisfying part was watching Trevor's whole fake world collapse. His Vegas friends disappeared when the money ran out. His fake business associates threw him under the bus to save themselves. Even his own parents cut contact after learning what he'd done to their grandchildren. Lisa found a new job as a nursing supervisor at Children's Medical Center. Better pay, better hours, and a supervisor who actually respected her skills. The girls started at Brookshire Elementary, a good school near my apartment, moved to a place 10 minutes from Lisa's new house, close enough to help, far enough to let her rebuild her independence. I pick up Emma and Sophie from school 3 days a week, help with homework, take them to soccer practice. The girls adjusted better than expected. Kids are resilient. Emma asked why Daddy wasn't coming home anymore, and Lisa told her the truth in kid-friendly terms. Daddy made some bad choices and has to go away for a long time. Sophie, being 6, was more direct. Is Daddy in jail? Yes, sweetheart. Good. He made Mommy cry. Out of the mouths of babes. About 8 months after Trevor's sentencing, I got a call from Agent Norton. Carl, I thought you'd want to know. We arrested 2 more people from Trevor's network, used your case as the foundation for a much bigger investigation. We're looking at a fraud ring that stole over $8 million from families across the Southwest. Will any of those families get their money back? Some of it. Your willingness to wear that. Wire and gather evidence made all the difference. Without your testimony, Trevor would probably still be out there stealing. That made me feel good. Rosa would have been proud. Not because we got our money back, but because we helped stop a predator from hurting more families. The financial recovery took another 4 months after sentencing. The FBI's asset forfeiture unit was thorough. They liquidated Trevor's Porsche for $68,000, recovered jewelry worth $22,000, and seized funds from multiple accounts across 3 states. But the biggest recovery came from an unexpected source. The Las Vegas casinos where Trevor had been gambling had surveillance footage of him using credit cards tied to the fraudulent accounts. Casino security had flagged suspicious activity months earlier, but hadn't reported it until the FBI investigation. Mr. Martinez, Agent Norton called me in December, almost a year after Trevor's arrest. We've recovered $176,000 of your original $190,000. The remaining $14,000 was spent on day-to-day expenses that can't be recovered. But this is better than most financial crime cases. $176,000. Not everything, but enough to rebuild. Enough to secure Emma and Sophie's future. Enough to know that Trevor hadn't completely destroyed what Rosa and I had worked 30 years to build. The other victims weren't as lucky. The families Trevor had hit earlier in his scheme lost more money because he'd gotten better at hiding assets. But even recovering 60 to 70% of their stolen money helped some of them get back on their feet. Lisa used her portion to put a down payment on a house 10 minutes from mine. Nothing fancy, but it had a yard where the girls could play and bedrooms they didn't have to share. She got promoted to nursing supervisor at Children's Medical Center with better pay and regular hours. The custody situation resolved itself once Trevor was in federal prison. His parents, who'd been awarded temporary custody, realized they were too old to raise twin 6-year-olds. They voluntarily returned custody to Lisa and actually thanked her for keeping the girls safe during the crisis. We had no idea what Trevor was doing, his mother told us at the custody hearing. We thought he was a successful businessman. We're ashamed of what he put your family through. That conversation was harder for me than Trevor's sentencing. These people had genuinely believed in their son, just like we had. Trevor had lied to everyone, even his own parents. The girls adapted better than any of us expected. Children are resilient in ways that amaze me. Emma stopped watching for Trevor's car after a few months. Sophie's nightmares faded once she felt secure in the new house. They still ask about their father sometimes, but not with the desperate hope they had before. Dr. Foster helped them understand that some people make choices that hurt their families. But that doesn't mean the family did anything wrong. One evening, about 18 months after that, night in the hospital parking lot, Lisa and I were sitting on her back porch while Emma and Sophie played on their new swing set. Lisa looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Dad, I never properly thanked you. If you hadn't found us that night, if you hadn't fought for us, you don't need to thank me. That's what family does. But I made it so hard. I trusted Trevor over you. When he said you were trying to control our money, when he made it seem like you didn't trust him. Lisa, he was a professional. That's what they do. They turn family against each other. They make the victim feel isolated, like the people who love them are the problem. But I should have known. I'm supposed to be smart. I'm a nurse, for crying out loud. Being smart doesn't protect you from someone who makes lying their full-time job." Trevor studied people like it was a science, because it was. She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I thought I'd lost everything. The house, the money, my career, my kids. But you didn't lose the most important thing. What's that? Your family. We don't abandon each other, ever." Emma came running over from the swing set. "Grandpa, will you push us higher?" I stood up, my knees creaking a little. Getting older, but not too old to push my granddaughters on swings. "Absolutely, sweetheart." As I walked toward the swing set, I thought about Rosa. She would have been proud of how this turned out. Not because we got the money back, not because Trevor went to prison. She would have been proud that we fought for family, that we didn't let some con artist destroy what she'd spent her life building. "Higher, Grandpa," Sophie called out, pumping her legs on the swing. "Hold on tight," I told her. That became my rule for everything after Trevor. Hold on tight to what matters. Family matters, trust matters, but verify matters more. And when someone threatens your family, you don't ask questions, you don't count the cost, you figure out how to protect them. I learned things about financial fraud I never wanted to know, how to spot fake credentials, how to verify investment firms, how to protect yourself from people who seem too good to be true. I share that knowledge now with other construction workers, other retirees, anyone who'll listen. Trevor Cooper thought he could destroy us because we were trusting people who'd lived honest lives. He underestimated something, though. He underestimated what a grandfather will do to protect his family. The girls are 8 now. Emma wants to be a veterinarian. Sophie wants to be a police officer like the nice agents who caught the bad man. They don't remember much about living in the car, but they remember that Grandpa came to find them. Lisa's doing well. She's dating a guy named Victor, a paramedic who treats her like she deserves to be treated, takes it slow, respects that she's been through trauma, loves the girls like they're his own. Every few months I get calls from other families going through financial fraud. Word gets around about the Trevor Cooper case. I help when I can, share what I learned, recommend Rachel and Martin and Agent Norton. Because that's the thing about family. It's bigger than just blood relatives. It's everyone who stands up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Everyone who refuses to let predators win. Trevor's got 10 more years in prison. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks about Emma and Sophie, if he feels any guilt about what he put his own children through. But honestly, I don't waste much time thinking about him anymore. I'm too busy being a grandfather. That's what I learned the hard way. Predators count on good people being too polite to ask hard questions, too trusting to verify what sounds reasonable. But here's what Trevor never understood. You can steal someone's money, destroy their credit, even turn their family against them temporarily. But you can't steal the love that makes a man fight for his grandchildren.